Welcome to the Brown Bag Blue Collar Audio Supplement Special Edition of the Stainless Souls Podcast. Brought to you by the Realization of Stainless Souls, a come-as-you-are church of recovery, discovery, and all religions. This episode is week 13, Teaching Relapse Prevention. Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to the final week, week 13, of the Brown Bag Blue Collar Recovery Planner. The focus for the week is immunity and defense, also known as relapse prevention, where we learn how to defend our sobriety, to defend our cleanliness. Before we get too involved in the week's topic, I want to review some of the achievements that you have as a result of this program. You have meditated for 69 hours. You have read 12 books. You have walked for 68 hours. You have done stretching for 15 hours. You have studied for over 45 hours. You've done 91 hours worth of meetings. You've averaged over 4 hours per day, focused solely on your recovery and your service work. It's quite remarkable, in my opinion. By the end of today, we would normally talk about the deliverables that you have, and there's quite a few. And you might say, well, I'm not prepared to complete all these deliverables here in 1 week's time. And I would argue a little bit differently. And here's why. In week 1, you learned the power of goal setting. In week 2, you learned how to create a vision for yourself. In week 3, you worked on what your purpose was, what the meaning of that purpose was, and what your mission was. In week 4, you studied your values and beliefs. In week 5, you started creating 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year draft goals in each of the 6 primary areas of the program: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, lifestyle, and immunity wellness. In week 6, you started working on a 90-day discharge or IOP plan, a draft of that plan. In week 8, you learned how to plan, how to take goals to the execution phase. Weeks 8 through 13, you wrote plans specific to each of the 6 areas. In week 10, you did a draft budget for 90 days. In week 11, you drafted your definite divine purpose, your values and beliefs, and what people might say about you at your eulogy. And now this week, in week 13, we want a final version written of all of the above information that you've worked on throughout the course. Essentially, a written final version of your vision, your purpose, the meaning of your purpose, your mission, your values and beliefs, 90-day, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year goals and objectives for each of the 6 areas: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, lifestyle, and immunity. Plans in order to complete those goals and objectives, and a final 90-day budget. Goal setting and planning probably incorporates half the value of this entire program. So with that review of your accomplishments and that review of how we got to where we are with respect to deliverables, let's get on with week 13. Turning to page 278 in the planner, we see in the top right-hand corner this week's focus that our job is to teach immunity. In other words, relapse prevention. So we take something that we learned out of the course in week 7, we do the lesson plan in accordance with week 8, and then we sit with somebody for 15 to 30 minutes and try to pass on some important knowledge that they may find useful. We're also focused on mind, body, spirit, heart, toxins, and triggers. So all of those activities, all of those things that may happen that may trigger a relapse is what we want to focus on so that we can build defenses around ourselves from those triggers and toxins. Deliverables: you got to do your relapse prevention 90-day, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plan, and that will be considered the moat that surrounds you and defends you from all the things that might cause a relapse. Today's study areas include defending sobriety with a moat, M triggers or mental triggers, movies, people, media, E triggers or emotional triggers, media, propaganda, advertisements, S triggers or spiritual triggers, desires, attachments, P triggers or physical triggers, people, places, and things. All can be reviewed in week 7. Your required activity is always the same every day for 90 days. Meditation, reading, aerobic exercise, flexibility exercise, and a recovery meeting. Meditation, same as last week, 30 minutes twice a day. Reading, new book by Nick Ortner called The Tapping Solution, 25 pages a day. Walking now for 60 minutes once or 30 minutes 2 times. Stretching for 10 minutes and 1 60-minute recovery meeting. Needs, habits, healings, affirmations, and visualizations. Our need is still significance. And remember, that is opposite of love and connection. The healing treatment is healing treatment number 13. There is a new affirmation for every day of the 90 days available for your use. And we are still in phase 5, integrate. We are focused on steps 10, 11, and 12 every day for the rest of our lives. On the right-hand facing page, we see that we have the final version of my definite or divine life's purpose, as well as my values and beliefs, as well as my goals and objectives and plans for 90 days, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and the end of my life, which I call my eulogy. So there's quite a bit to organize this week. There's not so much to do because all the work is mostly done, but there's a bit to organize in order to lay this out in a way that is meaningful to you. And I recommend once you have it organized, you recopy everything down in a nice, readable, easy-to-reach format so it's always available to you when you need it. I also have a suggestion for chronic relapsers and maybe anybody who's in this program that may be on something more addictive than alcohol. If you made it this far, plan every single day of the next 90 days now while you are sane. Plan every minute of every day. Leave nothing to chance. If you don't have something to do, the active addiction in you will give you something to do. By now, you have plenty of experience on how to fill a meaningful day. Keep on. And with that, my friends, we close week 13. There is no next week. I will see you next in an affirmation recording.